when the handout comes, no, you distribute, please. And for the online students, handout is available? Awesome. So very good evening to all of you, and a very good evening to my online students as well. So hope that you all are doing well. It's been quite some time that we have had our workshop. So thought to bring the workshop with you because economy is changing, you know. There are so many things which has happened, society, economy, international relations. So that's why it is important to get ourselves updated to various news. But the reason that we have gathered today is very specific, something very specific and something very special. You see, when we prepare current affairs, we have three things in mind. I'll show you. There are three things in mind. And you know that interview season had just started. So when you prepare current affairs, it is relevant for prelims, mains, interview. But the reason that we have gathered today is three specific reasons. Number one, it's December. And if you look at the date, almost like 17th, mid of December. If you're trying to appear in UPSC next year, and if you're planning to appear next year with your preparation, then you must be in your doubt and dilemma that have I done enough of answer writing, or is there something which we needed to do? Maybe we have missed out. Now imagine we meeting around the month of January and February and talking about all this, absolutely meaningless. So the very fact that you still have at least around half of December left, and you have some time, very good evening, and we have some time in January as well, which we can devote just to make sure that this goes well, and at the same time, to the best of our ability and time available, we should do well also here. This can wait for some time. So this session that I'm conducting, the focus area will be how to use current affairs for mains answer writing. Perhaps this would be the, I think, only opportunity when we can say that whatever we are learning today, we can actually apply it for next 20 days or 25 days. Because after this, we'll get into prelims mode. Then it would be difficult to go back to mains mode and spend time. So I think this is the best opportunity that we can get into the mains mode and apply current affairs in answer writing. So yes, definitely the handout is available for the online students. You can check the link. I think the link is there for handout online. So can we please check? So I think you must be having one link. If you check, you'll find it. And for my offline students, you must be having the handout. So I'll tell you how to use the handout. See, we have met for a workshop, but don't worry, I'm not going to give you 60 seconds of gyan of how to live life, how to prepare for UPSC. Enough of that is available on social media, right? I call it social media views. So the reason that we have met here is very specific. You have the handout. We'll treat it like a lecture. And in between, I'll keep on telling you how to utilize current affairs for making your answer better. This is what we are going to do. So it has to be a participation from your side and from my side. It will be a collaborative effort. Acha batao, tell me kids, whenever government of India and private sector, they collaborate and they try to launch a project in India. For example, let's say a road has to be constructed. I'll give an example. Delhi-Mumbai Expressway. It is being constructed roughly 1400 kilometers. It's a collaboration between government of India and private sector. Government of India is giving land, private sector is doing the construction. So can you please tell me what is this model called as? Public-private partnership. So in the same fashion, I'll give you content, and you give me the response from your side, online and offline. And together, through this partnership, we are going to make this session useful for us. Because for UPSC, time is very important. So at no point in time in today's session, we are going to waste even a single second. So without wasting time, let's come back. So today's session will focus here, this part. And specifically in this part, not GS2, 3, 4, etc., but wherever current affairs is applicable, we'll try to see how to use it through examples. So let me first give you a brief idea, because this is given in your handout. So when you open your handout, you can clearly see the first page. And I've given you the general syllabus, because many of you would be appearing in UPSC for the first time next year. So that's your general syllabus. And here, what I have done is, I have given you the micro syllabus as much as possible. For example, this is GS paper 1. So here what I have done is I've noted down the syllabus of UPSC strictly according to PYQs and UPSC syllabus. And here we have marked those things as highlighted portion where we felt that there is a maximum probability of use of current affairs. So for example, you can see GS paper 1, you have culture, you have world history, society, geography. You can use current affairs as an example anywhere. That's not a problem. But the maximum probability that you will definitely get a question where you have to use current affairs directly would be this area. So the handout that you have got, you can use it before your mains and prelims, etc., just to have a look at it, that okay, these are the areas where I need to focus on the current affairs for GS paper 1. And on this side, I have noted some resources which gives you authentic data related to current affairs, which you can directly use here. So for example, let's talk about this GS paper 1 very briefly. Economic survey and budget obviously goes without saying, because in economic survey and budget, it is not just about economics, but there is a big topic. In fact, the biggest chapter in economic survey is about social sector. That's the lengthiest chapter of economic survey. You know what is the second lengthiest chapter? Environment. Almost like 60, 70, 80 pages. And social sector almost like 100, 110 pages. The economic part like inflation, etc., hardly 30 page, 20 page. So name is economic survey, but the other things are given more elaborately than economics. So that's why economic survey and budget, Niti Aayog, constantly keeps on writing research papers, articles, from where you can pick these points related to these areas where current affairs will be applicable in society. Example, what is demographic winter? What is silver dividend? Right? All these things Niti Aayog has written at length, and you see those things. Poverty, for example, you can clearly see that that is mentioned in GS paper 1 syllabus. So we have highlighted them. So what are the things that you can use? Economic survey, budget, Niti Aayog newspaper and magazine. Now you might have seen, and let me tell you this, that this particular session is purely academic in nature, which is there is nothing else, no dilution, which means we'll only talk about how to prepare, how to use current affairs, no other agenda. So whatever value addition or value added material you are getting in the market or internet, whatever, I'm not against any of the material. If you can lay your hands upon some good value added material related to, for example, society, social issues, pick it up. And from there, please try to find out which are the useful areas for you. Use it in your exam and answer writing. As simple as that. Don't be biased against anybody. Everybody is giving good material. You just have to pick the right ones. So this is what we'll do. We'll also use some ready-made resources. And in Vajiram also, we have this magazine. Similarly, there are so many magazines. You pick whatever you feel like. There's no problem. Absolutely no biasness. So that's your GS paper 1. Now let's talk about GS paper 2. So it's there. In your handout, you'll see this. GS paper 2, see, in GS paper 2, you can clearly see that the governance part, the polity part, the IR part, and plus the social justice part. You understand that social justice is embedded inside the constitution in DPSP. Now imagine you getting a question related to labor reforms, which came this year in GS paper 3, labor reforms. Ideally, labor reform is a part of GS paper 2, but that question was asked in GS paper 3. So if somebody will ask you to write an answer on labor reform, how will you start your answer? You have to use GS paper 2. You have to quote the DPSP. You have to, similarly, if somebody will ask you that what are the social sector schemes that government has created for workers, organized, unorganized workers, pension reforms, old pension, new pension, then unified pension scheme. So whenever a question comes related to social justice, social security, labor laws, workers, everywhere you have to quote DPSP. So that's why from here we will pick DPSP. But if you only write DPSP in your answer and don't substantiate with current developments, the answer will look incomplete. Because UPSC is not asking us to reproduce DPSP. UPSC says through DPSP you introduce the question, that in DPSP it is mentioned that we should promote labor reforms, we should promote pension, social security. But then you have to write current affairs, that why Government of India has introduced the unified pension scheme. So this is an amalgamation where these highlighted parts are current affairs, and then these non-highlighted parts mostly static in nature. So what are the sources that we can use for this? See, you need to have a compilation of the recent Supreme Court judgments. So whatever judgments are, whenever you are planning to write your mains, make sure that at least 1 year of compilation of the judgments are there. And I told you that when you go to market, internet, online, offline, there are many compilations available for governance part, polity part, which gives you summary. Don't depend on those resources as your primary material. But when you have created your own notes, your own resources, you can perhaps have a look at them just to see if you have missed out something. So you should use them as a secondary resource, not as a primary resource, because primary should be something where you have learnt your GS. That should be your primary. So whatever compilations are available in the market, don't treat it as a base material. Use it as filter just to see, have I missed out on 1 or 2 points? Let's include this. Always your base should be your GS material. Wherever you have done your classes, GS material should be your base. But compilation should be definitely looked into just to cross-check if you have missed something. For schemes, because there are so many schemes that you will have to do for GS paper 2. So what is the source for schemes? Same, economic survey, budget. I wrote it because I'm a part of Vajiram. I have read this book. I really like it. If you want to refer to something else, no problem. Because anybody who's writing scheme, how can it be drastically different? If I write a scheme, for example, Udan, how can my Udan will be different from somebody else's, right? It has to be almost similar, 99% similar. No criticism here of any material, but I wrote it because I'm reading this material, and in fact, we are compiling this material for you. Number 2 is committee reports, right? So committee reports are very important in your GS paper 2, specifically whenever you write answers. If you mention committees, immediate leverage, immediately you will get some extra marks. Not directly, but indirectly also. Sometimes positive psychology of the evaluator is also like extra marks. So either you directly get marks, or there is a positive psychology which makes the examiner believe that yes, you have worked hard. So as far as possible, you should write committee reports. You should quote them. And wherever possible, if you know some reports by Niti Aayog, you should quote them also. So if you know nothing, if you don't remember anything related to a particular question, just remember one Niti Aayog report or committee report, you can have a great introduction of the answer. So that's why knowing this thing is really good. Next is this one. As I told you, that for IR, you know, is very dynamic. Extreme. And these days, so IR is in fact looks more dynamic than economics. So wherever you have done your GS and whatever is your GS resource, that should be your base for IR. But compilations are also available. Like we have our compilations in Vajiram, you have compilations outside. Pick up any compilation of your choice without any biasness. And just see that in your notes, the basic notes, can you add something? That's it, like a filter. But don't treat, as I told you, I repeat again, don't treat these compilations as base material. Never do that, because they are highly summarized materials which should be used in a very filtered form. So take your notes, take your mains compilation of IR, which is available online and offline, and you see if you have missed out on something, some new development, add it, please. Now, regular static notes, as I told you, this I call as class notes. So your class notes should be your basic. From market, you buy compilation, add. But don't change your class notes. Have faith in that. You have spent time. You have spent your energy on that, right? Don't immediately change your class notes. Add on to it. And the next one is ARC. If you have some summarized form of ARC available, it will save a lot of time of yours. So for, I think, GS paper 2, it really helps. In fact, in GS paper 3 also, disaster management, etc., it really helps. So if possible, this is the only thing which I suggest that you can have one compilation. It helps. Now I'll come to the magazine part later on. I'll show you how to, in fact, better than magazine, I have got something for you today, which looks much better than a magazine. So that's your GS paper 3. So what do you do in GS paper 3? See, most of the portions are highlighted, and it is there in your handout. I have highlighted them. So wherever you see highlighted portion there, examiner would expect from you that you have to give current affairs. So don't you think as a beginner or as a suppose UPSC aspirant, on many occasions we get confused that, okay, we have to write the answer in UPSC, but for which areas we should prepare current affairs and for which areas even static is fine. This is the first thing that we should know. So this syllabus should be there in our hand all the time. And in this syllabus, we should see highlighted area. Okay, we have to arrange some current affairs. If the area is not highlighted, even if you don't mention too much of current affairs, you can, but if you don't mention, no problem. In highlighted areas, you have to. So how do you put current affairs in your answer? I'll show it to you today. There are 2-3 ways. One, you put some data. 2, you write some committee report, etc. name. Third, you directly put current affairs point in the form of paragraphs and answers. There are 2-3 ways of putting current affairs. So let me show you how to use current affairs. I'll show you through example. So first, the resources for GS paper 3, as usual, economic survey and budget, mains compilation. Everywhere I'm giving you compilations. The reason being that I told you it is used as a filter just to see if you have missed out on anything in your mains notes. Then you have agriculture. See, in agriculture, there are 2 types of things. One, your static notes should be ready. You should understand the formula of MSP. You should know what is irrigation system. You should know what is the cropping pattern. You should know what is green revolution and what are the problems that happened because of green revolution. Because whatever problems happened because of green revolution in those zones where green revolution happened, there the soil quality is down and the water table is down. And in those areas, we have launched micro irrigation programs. We have launched the programs to resume soil fertility, natural farming, organic farming, etc. Which means that whatever schemes you see these days, that is a direct outcome of what we have done in the past, which gave some negative impacts. So to correct them, we have the schemes. So current affairs will make sense only when your static part of agriculture is absolutely in place. So this is also required. Now, see, I teach current affairs, but if you ask me, frankly speaking, that what is the proportion in which the preparation has to go? So my honest confession would be roughly 70% static and roughly 30% current. That's an honest confession. Many a times, this ratio changes to 60% static and 40% current in some answers. But I have never seen UPSC as a paper, not as a question, but as a whole paper. That whole paper is current affairs. It never happens. Whole paper is static. It never happens. Which means I'll show you some examples also that how smartly current affairs are being asked these days. So this will make sense, current affairs, only when your static area is right in place. I'll prove it today. So I told you, honest confession, that I teach current affairs. I could have easily said that current affairs is the most important part of your UPSC preparation, but absolutely wrong. Current affairs is one of the important areas, but not the only important area, because 60 to 70% is your static, which plays the biggest role in your UPSC selection. But we'll see how to score in this 30-40. This is also very important. So let's come back. So agriculture, static plus current. You have environment, which means that here I have seen, every day we interact with almost all of you. We get an opportunity. We are very lucky that we interact with you guys offline and online. And one repeated question is from where to do the environment part. Very, very tricky. As science and technology, environment, all these things are a little tricky. So there is no well-defined formula for this. Some basic ideas you should have, like some basic definitions, some basic concepts, some international agreements that have happened. Then you have to add on to it. Why? Environment is connected to geography. It is connected to international agreements. It is connected to G20 meets. It is connected to everything. Climate finance. Literally, it is connected to everything. So it does not have boundaries. So how do you make sure that you do it properly? First, select the notes, which is either your class notes or any kind of reference material that you have. Make it a base, and then you look to some compilations. The compilation could be monthly magazine, like we have our own monthly magazine. Similarly, there are so many monthly magazines. You select any one, and then every month in your notes you try to integrate this from here to here. I'll tell you later on that why I'm asking you to integrate and why not create separate notes. I'll show it to you. I've got a lot of things to show you today. So one thing which I can suggest is whatever your basic notes are, you staple pages, you write sticky notes, but don't make 2-3 copies. Very difficult to do, very difficult. And I'll also tell you one or two things I'll tell you one or two things. These days, we are getting a lot of opportunity to speak to those students who have qualified the mains and they're preparing for the interviews. So one thing which I always do with those students who are appearing in every year, I ask them this question that, how did you make your notes about every subject? Why? It gives me an idea, because there is no unified or universal formula of success. Everybody has a different path. So from your experience also, we get to know that, okay, what clicked for you? So we have almost like a very big sample size, which has given us a very good idea over the last few years that what are our students doing so that they get to the desired results. And it's a beautiful journey. I've seen so many variations in the approach. So let me tell you one of the things which I have seen. One of the things which is very common is that most of the students told me, specifically those who qualify the exam in the first and second attempt. There are a lot of students who qualified the exam in their first attempt or second attempt, and I'm getting a chance, I told you, to meet them. So what are they telling me? They are telling me that they did not make bulky notes. This point I picked from there. So they told me, and in fact, it also works. As a student, we know it is true that if you select your GS notes or whatever your first notes are, where you put your heart and soul, and then you add on to it. Don't make 3 copies. When will you read them? And in fact, I'll show you in a 150 word and 250 word question, is there a scope to do it? So I don't feel there is a scope. So that's why our basic note should be the real note. In that, we should do value addition. And compilations, what is the meaning of compilation? Like Vajiram, like other institutes, what they do is, all of us, we do it. Before your prelims, we bring prelims compilation in the form of like 1 year or 6 months notes collected, filtered out notes. Similarly, before mains, we also bring compilations. These are add-on notes. So that is called compilation or add-on. You should have it just to see if you have missed something, but not as a base. What is this? Disaster management, ARC and compilations. Here you can have little shortcut, because the cost benefit analysis, if you do, you will see that there is no point of breaking your head over this topic, because you can easily answer these questions through basic newspaper reading or basic compile. If you don't have time, first attempt, you can follow compilations also. So somebody has made some good notes in the form of a magazine or compilation, use it. This is perhaps one place where you can save time. And this is for internal security. I don't know, I mean, I'll sound very biased if I say this, but two books or two content material in Vajiram, which I can suggest to you that you can almost read it without any doubt. One would be governance, one of the best that I have read, and internal security. The collection of content that we have for that is absolutely best. So I suggest that if you can get your hands onto it, you should definitely read it. One of the best, two best sources. Similarly, if you ask me for history, we have got one of the best compilations. If you read culture or ancient, very good, very nicely written. So there are a few things. These are the things which even I like as a faculty. I keep reading them sometimes. So it's really good. So I would suggest that if you want to save your time in internal security, use our resources, specifically the 2-3 I named. It's really good, very up to date. So this is what I would suggest for you. Chalo, but let's see, just basic idea, just to have a look, and then we'll get to the main task. This is one table which is given in your handout. Nothing has changed in this table. It's almost as it is. See, GS paper 1, GS paper 2, and GS paper 3. What do you see here? Wherever you see the highlighted part, I'll tell you what is the meaning of this. A very good evening to my online students. So I'll get to all of you. We'll have this participation. But hold on for some time, please. So see, these are the average number of questions which have been asked from each of these subject papers. So I'll give an example. From Indian society, on an average, every year, they are asking roughly around 5 questions. Out of that, 3 directly require current affairs, application of current affairs. That's the meaning. So similarly in IR, if you will see 4 questions, you will see that these 4 questions would be almost having some sort of current affairs requirement in them. So that's your IR part. So similarly, I have created this compilation for you. So here, see, in economics, suppose if they are asking roughly around 6 questions, 4 questions would be such that you have to apply current affairs in that. And from agriculture, if they are asking 3 questions, 2 would require current affairs. That's the meaning of this. So that's your importance of current affairs. Let's come back and let's have this paper. Let's read the paper. GS paper 3, 2024 mains. Let's read this question. What is the question saying? Question says, it's not there in the handout, it's here. Read it. It's there. Oh, I have attached the question. Very nice. So let's read this question. The question says, what are the causes of persistent high food inflation in India? Can we write, when we are writing the mains exam 2024, can we write the reasons for high food inflation of 2018? Current affairs. First part is absolutely current affairs, and precise reason has to be written. For example, if you simply write, yeah, food prices increased because food was not available. It doesn't sound like it sounds like a scam. Like food was not available, so food prices increased. I mean, we won't get marks. We have to specifically write that what happened, what was the role of weather, what was the role of international prices, because we import a lot of food grains also. We import, palm oil, we import so many things, pulses. There was a problem. Similarly, supply chain is a problem in India. Everything which is official has to be written from newspaper. That's one. Let's look at the second part, deadly part. It says, comment on the effectiveness of monetary policy of RBI to control this type of inflation. Wow. So which means that pure static. What is monetary policy? So let's see what is monetary policy. So how does RBI control inflation through monetary policy? Normally, what do we know? CRR. Recently, CRR has been reduced from 4.5 to 4%. So can you please tell me what are the monetary policy instruments which RBI uses, my online and offline students? First is, so let's start from very basic. What comes to our mind? Repo. Awesome. Repo, then reverse repo, then. Currently, we are not using reverse repo. Currently, we are using SDF, standing deposit facility. So repo, SDF, what else? SLR. Let me write it for you. So what are the monetary policy instruments? I'll show you how to answer these questions. So first is repo. The second is SDF or reverse repo, whatever you feel like. Third, what is the instrument? SLR. Okay, SLR, CRR. What else? Brilliant. Open market operations. What else? MSF. Very nice. And RBI's favorite, connected to MSF is bank rate. Brilliant. These are some of the instruments which RBI uses. In addition to it, there are two more which RBI uses on and off in India. Recently, it has been observed that there is something called as incremental CRR, which is also used by RBI. So that's also one of the things which RBI uses, right? So if you look at all this, you'll get a good amount of idea that whenever you see the price of tomatoes, onion, and potatoes are rising, if RBI says, "Oh, tomatoes have become costly, let me increase CRR, let me reduce CRR, let me increase CRR, let me change repo rate," so will a tomato plant understand that RBI is changing repo rate? So RBI will say that inflation is there, let me increase the repo rate from 6.5% to 7%, so that the price of tomatoes will come down. So tomatoes understand repo rate? No. RBI will call tomatoes, bring the price down, I'm increasing repo rate. None of this will directly help. Direct help not possible. And that's your monetary policy. Is this the monetary policy that we use in India? In this question, will you write this? That monetary, because the question is saying, write why monetary policy is absolutely variable reverse repo rate. So what is the argument that we will write in the exam? Are we going to write one line about all this? Because they are saying monetary policy is ineffective. So you have to write monetary policy and write that, okay, it will not help in the control of tomato price, right? But this is only half the answer. There's one more. Qualitative monetary policy. This is quantitative monetary policy. So UPSC said, discuss why monetary policy is ineffective. So first you have to write in your answer that monetary policy is of two types, qualitative, quantitative. And then you have to say that qualitative monetary policy is moral suasion, credit rationing, which means that RBI tries to control the flow of money in a particular sector. Moral suasion means RBI calls the bank and says, don't release too much cash. Neither this will help nor this will help. Both will not help. But in our answer, both have to be written. Then your answer will be complete. And then you have to argue that this and this not effective. Why? Because rise of food price is a supply side problem. And supply side problem cannot be controlled through these measures. So for that, you need something else. What do we need? We need two types of thing. The first will be what? The first will be structural reform. Roads, warehouse, right, logistics. This has to be done better. And second would be that we have to make sure that our cost of production is down. So if farmers are using very costly fertilizers, very costly electricity, there we can help. Two things could be done. Cost could be brought down. And number two, the distribution channel should be improved. This is called supply side. So which policy can be used? Either structural changes like better roads, better warehouse, cold storage, or second could be bring the cost down, which means input side, like fiscal. So monetary policy will not work. Fiscal and structural policy, administrative policies could work. Because we also see in India, there is something called as hoarding and black marketing of the products. So which means if somebody will tell you that monetary policy is not working to control food price, which policy will work? Number one, cost side policy, which will bring the cost down. So that's one. Second would be structural. What is the meaning of structural? Better infrastructure, better logistic. This is structural. And the third would be administrative, which means if somebody is doing some sort of hoarding, etc., we need to control. These three policies will work. Now, did you notice something? What did UPSC do with us? Look at the trick of UPSC. So through one question, UPSC is trying to target us in two different ways. Dekhiye bachcho, question is one, but look at the dimensions and look at this 150 words. Look at the open-ended approach of the question. It says, what are the causes of high inflation? Anybody can write it from newspaper. But first part is current affairs. Absolutely current affairs. Look at the second part. Comment on the effectiveness of monetary policy of RBI to control this type of inflation. So it does not work. So you have to write about all the tools and say qualitative will not work, quantitative will not work. And then you have to write what will work. That what will work will be just one paragraph, small paragraph, where you have to write that cost side, structural side, administrative side. You have to give an example and say through this we can control. If this will not work, that will work. So can we say that in this question, there is one hidden question as well, which I call as ghost question? Because this question does not have two parts, it has three parts. The first part is current affairs, the second part is monetary policy will not work, and the ghost part is what will work. So what will work is the ghost part. Without this, you will not get marks. And what is the words that is expected here? 150. 150 would mean two sides. 150 means this. That's it. In one side, you can write 80 words. This side, 80 words. That's it. So in one side, you have to write three parts. I'll show you the structure also, don't worry. Which means that you need to prepare your static areas very well, amazingly well. You cannot mess up there. And then you need to be very thorough with current affairs, because current affairs will just be, as I told you, a 30-40% part of your answer. But 30-40% part is huge part. So what I told you why we have gathered today, just to tell you how to use current affairs. So Abhi, I just introduced that part. That okay, see where current affairs is coming. I'll tell you how to do it also. Let me show you another question. This will give you a better idea. See this, please. Let's read this question. So it says, what is the need for expanding the regional air connectivity in India? Static part or current part? Basic. No, it's basic. Why basic? I'll tell you basic. There was a report long time back, 2016, by Ministry of Civil Aviation. What did Ministry of Civil Aviation say? Ministry of Civil Aviation said that since independence, we have done three things. What are the three things we have done in the field of aviation? We have created airports in very, very small cities and towns of India. No, we have created airports only in big cities and towns. Delhi, Mumbai, all these places, right? Pune, that's it. So for us, life means Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Guwahati, Jaipur, Lucknow, Indore. This is India. So we have created airports in these places. Where else have we created airports? Your favorite country? Thailand. So we have established connection between India and Thailand. Visa-free entry, our priorities. So Thailand has good airports. India has created airports in Delhi, Mumbai, and India has established connection with Thailand. And India said, let Indians go to Thailand in huge numbers, right? So what are national priorities? Visa-free entry to Thailand. So what have we done? National airports, and we have opened as many international routes as possible. Look at the countries where we opened the route, Thailand and Vietnam. So that's the second. Where did we miss? Regional centers, small areas, the hilly areas, the village area, the rural area, interiors of this country. Who mentioned this? National Civil Aviation Policy 2016. It was clearly mentioned. Who created this policy? Ministry of Civil Aviation. So they have mentioned in that policy that this is historical figure for India. So if you look at the airports of India, majority of them only in urban areas. That's not good. And then what we do in India is, since there are no airports, connectivity in regional centers is not good. We call the regional centers, regional kind of states which are slightly backward in development as Bimaru states. Earlier, now we have changed the name. So earlier we used to give them a name of Bimaru states, and then we used to say, because of you, India is not progressing. And what are we doing? As a country, don't give airports, don't give railway stations, don't give good roads to them, but call them Bimaru. How unfair, isn't it? So this concept of pockets of poverty, or this very derogatory name, now we don't use that name. So that very derogatory name started to be used in India because of lack of development, which happened because of lack of connectivity. Now, can you expect Mr. Murthy, Mr. Narayan Murthy, to go to places which are in the interiors without airport, without railway station? How will he reach? Even if the best of talents, young kids are there in those places, how will Mr. Murthy go and establish IT park? Not possible. So what did Government of India do? Parallelly, Government of India is running 2-3 programs. One is for road construction, Bharatmala, Sagarmala for seaports, to create logistics, transportation facility, national logistics policy, and for aviation, UDAN, regional connectivity scheme. So this is what you had, which means that you have to give some reasons which happened in India in last 30-40 years. The first part is more like a static part. Now look at the second part. It says, in this context, discuss the government's UDAN scheme. That's your second question. So first is, why regional connectivity is important? Why do we need that? Basic knowledge. Second, UDAN. And third, achievements, current affairs. So let's see how many parts are there. First is need, second is the scheme, and third is that. These two are current affairs. So as I told you, again, that the distribution between static and current would be either 60-40, 70-30. This is normally the distribution. Again, we see this. But how many parts are there in the question? 3. And how many parts were there in a 10 marker? 3. 2 visible, 1 hidden, which is ghost part. Which means these days, what kind of questions are being asked in UPSC? Chalo, let me show you the questions, kind of questions. This type of question. So let's look at the 150 word question so that we can attempt. So if you want, you can note it down in your notebook, because this format will not change. This will remain like this. In your mains, when you appear in mains, this will not change. So if you want, you can draw this. What am I trying to tell you here? One funda of answer writing. As I told you that I'll teach you today and try to make sure that you understand how to put current affairs in your answer. So if UPSC will ask you a 150 word question, in a 150 word question, typically, for example, you will have effective 7 minutes to write. Why not 9 minutes? Brainstorm. You will have to think, you will have to read the question. So sometimes when you write a lot of answer in the mains, your mind gets tired. Something will not immediately come. So 1 or 2 minutes will be lost. Effective time that you will get to write in the answer is these 7 minutes. And in these 7 minutes, if you have to write a 150 word question, which is 10 marks, what are the things that you will have to write? This structure is more or less, you can customize it, but more or less it will remain like this. So did you see that question where we discussed the inflation wala part? That first part is current and second part is static. So see how they asked the question. In that question, you had to write one introduction, which is universal. There can be no question without introduction. And the second is conclusion. This is fixed. So how many words in a 150 word question? This is the first thing that we should know. In a 150 word question, how many words can we effectively put in introduction? Not more than 30 to 40. So 30 to 40 words is our maximum that we can do. So this is where first we will draw a line. We will say 30 to 40, not more than that. 30 to 40 would mean 3 to 4 lines. That's it. So after you write 3 to 4 lines, and how much time will you give for every 30 words? 1 minute. Not more than 1 minute. I'll tell you many things about answer writing today. So 30 to 40 words, that's what should be there in your mind. That, okay, 30 to 40 words mean 3 lines to 4 lines, not more than that. And then you will have to give just 1 minute to write your introduction. Similarly, for conclusion, 30 to 40 words, 1 minute. 2 minutes ka hisab kitab, 2 minutes calculation, done. This calculation is fixed. That, okay, for introduction, 30 to 40 words, conclusion, 30 to 40 words, 1 minute intro, 1 minute conclusion. Don't change that. You'll see the magic now. So 1 minute, done. Total 7 minutes. And 1 minute went in thinking. So this 1 minute you forget. You have 7 minutes left. 1 minute intro, 1 minute conclusion. This is a rule which we don't change. So now, 1, 2, 2 minutes gone. How many minutes remaining? 5. In 5 minutes, you have to write 2 bodies of the answer. Which means, body 1, you have to write what are the reasons for inflation. That's your body 1. And in body 2, you will have to write why monetary policy does not work. That would be your body 2. Which means, how many words we have already used? 30 words. 30 words already used. So out of 150, 60 words gone. So roughly, let's say if you don't get into 1 word, 2 word calculation, roughly 100 words remaining. Because in a 150 word, you can go up to 175, by the way. You can go up to here. But a space will be fixed. So if you reduce the font size, you can go up to 175. There is no problem. So 60 words, 30, 60 words gone. Roughly 100 words remaining. 50 to 60 here, or 50 to 55 here, 50 to 55 here. That's your division. So 30, 30. This does not change. It can become 40 also, no problem. But then you will have to adjust here. Why am I writing range? Because while writing, we cannot count every time. If you think 30, it will become 40. So 30 to 40 here, 30 to 40 here. So roughly 60, 70 words gone. 100 words remaining. Because I told you, you can go up to 175. So 70 words to gone. 100 words remaining. So 50, 50. Or 60, 60. Something like this. For every 30, I told you 1 minute. So for 50 to 60, 2 minutes. Simple calculation. So 1, 2. 2 minutes gone plus 4. 6 minutes gone. 1 minute in flow chart, or if you get stuck at any point of time. But if you have prepared everything so well that is there in your head, फिर तो this 1 minute you can spend here. But I don't think that practically it is possible that we will get exactly 8 minutes or 7 minutes to write. Some time will go in thinking and brainstorming, because in exam mind gets tired. Be practical. You won't get more than this time. So think about it. If you prepare absurd content, like let's say for every point, like why does inflation happen in India? You have prepared 20 points. Where will you use it? Problem? It will never be asked as a solo question that you will write 20 points why inflation happens, because you will have to write intro and conclusion. You can't really write 20 points. And even if you write 20 points, some of the points will be redundant point. So when you prepare your notes, make sure that you prepare 10 to 15 points, but solid points. Because at the end of the day, when you write your mains, knowledge will not be a constraint. These things will be a constraint. Number of words, timing, don't exceed the limit. I'll tell you the dangers of what will happen if you exceed the word limit and if you exceed time. I'll show you that, so that you will have a great idea that, this I don't have to do. I'll show you. This is your 250 marker. So 250 words, 15 marker. So how many parts are there in such questions normally? I showed you Udan. Udan was a 15 marker this time. There were 3 parts of Udan. So first they ask you why regional connectivity is important. Because regional connectivity brings investment. It helps us in poverty reduction, balanced regional development, inclusive growth, employment generation, inequality reduction. All these things happen. So that's what we have to write. And second, what is Udan? Second body. And third, what are the features? What are the special things? So see, introduction, 30 words, 1 minute. Rule fixed. It can become 40, no problem. Call it 30, 40. Similarly, 30, 40, 1 minute fixed. 2 minutes gone. And for this type of question, how many minutes do we have? 10. 2 minutes over. Now you have 7 to 8 minutes. In real, you will have 7 to 8 minutes. So how do you divide it? 2, 2, 2. 6. So 6 plus 1, 7 plus 1, 8. 2 minutes in brainstorming and diagram. Because diagram and brainstorming also takes time. Because if you don't think what do you have to write, how will you write? As I told you, that you take the pen and close the eyes, start writing. You can do it only in one case, if the paper has already leaked before the exam. Right? India, that is also very common. Right? So what I'm hoping that does not happen in UPSC. In normal circumstances, we can't do that. Take the pen, close the eyes, tuck, 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 paper finished. Right? So in that case, 2 minutes or 1 minute have to go in brainstorming. This is your real timing. 2 and 3, 70 words, 70 words, 70 words. 70 into 3, 210. 210 plus 60, roughly 270. Dot on point. Now, I'll tell you what happens in the exam. In exam, there is a mix of 10 marks and 15 marks. Think about it. There is a mix of 10 and 15. The initial questions, 10 marks. Now, suppose in those 10 marks question, we become a perfectionist. I have to write the answer with perfection. How will I leave? Every point I will explain. See what will happen. Explain every point here. See, I'll tell you what will happen. Introduction, you will spend 3 minutes thinking I have to write a great introduction. You're not going on a coffee date that you have to introduce yourself to impress somebody and say that, if I don't introduce myself very well, I won't be able to go there. It's UPSC, serious exam. So here you have to be disciplined. So imagine that you are thinking, I will write a great introduction, 3 minutes gone. What is left in the question then? That discipline is very important first. So I suggest you, and we'll do it today. I've got something for you today, which will be slightly different from what you have been doing so far. So we'll write an answer in the class today itself, and I'll give you exactly 1 minute to write the introduction. I'll show you the difference. If I don't give you this time, and I ask you, you are well prepared with some content, suppose, and we are in the class, and you are very passionate about writing, I'll give you time to write. But I will not stop you in between. I'll say, keep writing. You will see that eventually you will end up writing for 20 minutes. And then also you will say, I wish I had 30 more seconds. I tell you, this will happen. But today we'll do something else. Since I called you for a session, so let's make it effective. I'll give you exactly 1 minute to write intro and then we stop. Then I'll give you exactly 2 minutes to write the first body. We stop. 2 minutes to write second body. 1 minute to write conclusion. Let's see if we can finish the paper. Why? Big problem in UPSC is, suppose that you try to make it awesome. Time gone, words gone. Then you come here and you'll say, I'll make this part, the first part of the body. Like, why does inflation happen in India? I'll write amazing points, 15 points. 15 points? Do we have space to write 15 points? So then what will happen? The moment you come to the second part, the second body of the answer, you will not have space to write qualitative, quantitative. And by mistake, if you have the space to write that, you won't be able to write what policy actually works in inflation. The fiscal policy you won't be able to write. Conclusion you won't be able to write. Or you will be so trapped in this question that next question you will have to leave. And this will become a zero. Are you understanding the problem? You might write an awesome answer here. Cost will be, you won't be able to write this question because time and space both are limited. So what is a good strategy for UPSC like exam? Talk to anybody who qualifies and that person will tell you very honestly, they never tried to write a perfect answer. They tried to write an answer which works. So for example, if you give all the decent points, you complete it in disciplined manner, 6-7 minutes you complete, which means that you will be marked out of 10 because you completed the answer. Then you come here, you will be marked out of 15, you complete this. So out of 25, you might end up getting, let's say, 12 or 13 at best, or maybe 10 out of 25. Suppose that worst case scenario, 10 to 12 you are getting. That's also very good. But suppose you leave this question because you overspend time and overspend space. See what will happen. Out of 10, you might get 7 or 8. Example, which is not possible. So out of 10, you will get 7. Here, UPSC gone. So we don't have to become a perfectionist. We have to write a solid answer which UPSC is asking. Then we have to go to next one so that we crack the exam. At no point in time we should be indisciplined. Now, all right, so this is one. Now, these two things you will keep in mind all the time. So I'm going to show you one live example of how to apply. This will give you a great idea. Huh? So let's check. Ye dekho. This is there in your handout, this article. Please open it. Please open this article, kids. To my online students, please open the article. It's uploaded, no? Cool. So let me tell you which page. Page number, guys, 7. You are more aware than I am about my own handout. So very nice. So page number 7, guys, my online and offline students. Huh? Page number 7, you see this article. Now in this article, can you see that there is highlighted portion? Some highlighted portions are there. So I'm going to demonstrate to you, and this is very recent one. What is the date of this article? 8th December 2024. Let's try to do this 8th December 2024 and let us try to see if we can read it and how to read and how to extract points to write mains answer. Huh? Let's do it together live. So guys, let's read it. And you will have to mark like this in your handout. Aise karke you have to mark. So let me tell you what is this. So let's read it one by one and see in what speed we have to read and we will write together. So check what is the title of this article. It says FDI inflows into India cross 1 trillion, establishes country as a key investment destination. That's the news item. So it means it is saying that India has just received FDI, which is more than $1 trillion. A country whose GDP is not even $5 trillion, a country whose GDP is $3.5 trillion is getting $1 trillion as foreign direct investment. Achievement. That's why newspaper is writing it's a good thing. Then they are writing establishes country as a key investment destination, which means that's the reason that we have got money, because everybody is saying that India is a key investment destination now. And the proof is that $1 trillion has come through FDI. That's the news. So $1 trillion has come. We have become key investment destination. Okay, fine. Let's read the article. So first, let's see how to use current affairs and extract it. We'll do one exercise. So read it carefully. Let's read. It says, foreign direct investment inflows into India crossed $1 trillion milestone between April 2000 to September 2024, finally establishing the country reputation as a safe and key investment destination. Done. Ab see, without wasting time, since this is going to be your first or second attempt, and you do not have time to waste at all in reading it 200 times. No, first reading should be absolutely perfect reading. So what do? Immediately you see, acha, this is data, $1 trillion milestone and time duration is given. So here you put an arrow and write trend. That's your trend. Obviously, this is trend. Just write it. I'll tell you how to use these newspaper articles. Without making notes, you can still get very good marks in the exam. Let's read the second one. Ab dekhte hain na, keep looking what you are getting. Second, it says, according to the data from Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, the cumulative amount of FDI is, including equity, reinvested earning, other, etc., is $1,033 billion. Fine. What is one good thing that we observed here? Name of one agency. Keep looking, guys. See, what are we extracting? So we are applying a filter. The first thing that we filter out from any article is trend or data. And the second thing is, whenever we see a name of the agency, we just put it like this, agency. I'll show you how to use it. Don't worry. Let's do step by step. So two things done, and you have just marked it. So what will you do at home? You just mark it like this. And don't write anything. Don't make notes. Simply write like this. Let's come to the next one. So next page, what is mentioned? Let's read. See. About 25% of FDI came through Mauritius route. It was followed by Singapore, USA, blah, blah, all these things. We don't need to memorize. So what will we do? Simply we will write trend or data. Trend or data. So just put one arrow and write trend or data, oblique data. See the magic at the end, what will happen? Trend or data. Now, next one says the key sectors attracting the maximum of the inflow, which means it is saying, the article is saying, which are the areas where we are getting money in India? Which sectors are attracting money? And this paragraph said, which are the countries which are giving us funds? And this says, which are the areas where we are getting money? See, services, computer, hardware, telecom, trading, construction, all these are services. So what will we write? Data. Just write data. I'll show you something interesting. Data. Next one says, according to Commerce and Industry Ministry, again one agency. So what are we going to write here? We are going to circle it and write agency. So India has attracted a cumulative FDI registering an increase of 119% over the preceding period, which means, what are we writing here? We are writing that 2004 to 14. Suppose between 2004 to 14, 100 crore came to India. So now we are saying that between 2014 to 2024, in this is 10 years. You are comparing this 10 years with this 10 years. So here suppose 100 crore came. So here we are saying that 119% higher. So 100 plus 119% higher. So it's more than 100% increase. So it is 219. It is jumping that much. So earlier this much FDI came in the first 10 years, 2004 to 10, 4 to 14, but 14 to 24 in last 10 years, this much. Earlier this, now this much. That's the comparison. So what are we going to write here? We will write data or trend. Nothing else, just data and trend. You see, without any stress, how are we going to use this for the answer writing? I'll show it to you. Next one, FDI equity inflows into manufacturing. Wow. Because India wants to create the manufacturing stronger. So we are interested in knowing. What did we observe here? One problem, that FDI is only coming in services. Now we want to know whether FDI is coming in manufacturing or not. So see, FDI coming into manufacturing over 2014 to 24, same year. So what are we comparing? See, if you compare 2004 to 14 with 2014 to 24, what has been the increase in FDI in manufacturing? 69%. Overall FDI increased by more than 100%, but in manufacturing increase is less. So who is getting maximum FDI in India? Services. Always remember this part. Services is getting the maximum FDI in India. So this is also one of the data we are getting. See, data. Are we trying to make our mind heavy by memorizing the figure? No. Are we trying to simply write using arrows that, okay, this is data, data, data? Yes. Are we giving second reading? Not required. And then see what are we writing? To ensure that India remains attractive and investor friendly, the government reviews FDI policy on ongoing basis. Which means, if we are writing a mains answer and we have to write a conclusion, nothing comes in the mind. What will we write? Government should keep on changing the policy as per time. That could be one of the, obviously, it is written in the newspaper. So we will say, keep adapting to the new conditions globally and India. So if India stops getting money today, what should India do? India should say, why am I not getting money? Maybe my industries are not doing well. Let me give infrastructure to my industries. Give infrastructure, money will come. So keep changing with time. This is a potential solution. So if FDI is not coming, change your policy. Make it better. We will see how to make it better. And then what do you do? Next one, let's read quickly. The overseas inflow into India are likely to gather momentum. Oh. So they are saying that in 2025, we will get more money. How? as healthy macroeconomic numbers. So it is saying India is showing healthy macroeconomic numbers. What is macroeconomic numbers? Inflation, GDP, employment, these things together. Right? Fiscal deficit of the country, government debt, all these things taken together is called macroeconomic industrial output, macroeconomic indicators. So they are saying India's macroeconomic indicators, it looks as if by 2025 it should be better. That means things must be improving. That's why they are writing this. Achha, sometimes you look good not because you are good. Sometimes you look good because others are looking bad. Remember Three Idiots. You top the exam in two ways. You work hard and top the exam, or you make sure that the others don't appear in the exam at all. Right? So here they are not writing in the newspaper, but real thing is India's macroeconomic indicators are looking good, not because we are the best in the world, but we are relatively looking good because others' condition is not very good. They are trying to play tariff war. They are saying, threatening every country that I will give tariff war to you, I will give tariff war. How will they look good? Countries are fighting, they are using tariff barrier, political instability. Obviously, we will look relatively good. China is struggling. So if you call China these days, what is your GDP? China says, don't call, network problem. China is undergoing next level problem these days. It's hiding its face. So whenever there is deep economic problem in China, you will see China becomes less aggressive. Then China slows down a little bit. And then China tries to print more currency. China tries to manipulate the dollars. And then all of a sudden, I'm not saying all this officially, then China might come back and say, now I am back. Right? So that's why we are looking good actually, relatively. So macroeconomic indicators, better industrial output, attractive PLI. So we are seeing our PLI scheme is good, Make in India is good. That's why money is coming to India. Fine, if newspaper says, I also say this. So that's why it is. I said, look at this, geopolitical headwinds in a very subtle way, in a very complicated way, we have said this in the newspaper, that geopolitical problems look deeper in other countries, hence we look safe. That's the meaning of this. So see, relatively, we are looking better because others are not looking good. So what are we going to write here? Factors for success. These are the factors which have led to foreign investment, FDI in India, factors for success. Now, if you read the other part, you know what is written? Avi Mukt Dar, the founder partner in this law, blah, blah, he has said something, not interested. Because when you read this, you will realize there is no point here. I have not highlighted it. It is a wasteful point. So we come to the next page. Now see. What is mentioned very quickly? The government can continue with structural reform, particularly mergers and acquisitions. So what is government saying? Government is saying that if some foreign company comes to India and wants to buy Indian company, let them buy it. Some companies, not all companies, but if some company wants to do mergers and acquisitions, they want to create partnerships, let them do it. Of course, on a case-to-case basis. Regulation should be there, checks and balances should be there, but we should not stop and ban these things. If somebody wants it, if it is not hurtful for India, we can go ahead with it. So we are saying this is one thing where India could be a little big heart, so reform. They are suggesting we could do this in future. Mergers and acquisitions, a foreign company wants to acquire Indian company, or Indian company wants to acquire a foreign company. We should be open to these ideas on a case-to-case basis. So reform. Next point. Dekho, what is written? So Rukmi Majumdar, an economist consultancy Deloitte, says FDI inflows are likely to remain modest. Oh, so this economist is saying a negative thing, that it will be modest. Modest would mean little humble, not very high. So some people are saying negative things also, that FDI in India might not be very high. Why? Expected policy changes in US. So if US creates a barrier and tells its company, don't go to India, India is not a good place, they will not come to India. If US increases the interest rate, money will not come to us. These could be an impact of policy stimulus on Chinese economy. So what is China do? China gives a lot of money to India, especially in startups. So if you look at Indian startup ecosystem, huge Chinese funding comes to India, especially digital economy, startups, technology. So now what is happening? China is undergoing slowdown. So China is trying to revive its own economy. Why will they let the money come to India? So for some time, they are going to be a little conservative. I told you problem in China. So because of this, our startups might not see a lot of money. So what will we write? Challenge. See, challenge. We are not writing anything in our notes, because if we write in our notes, one lifetime is less to prepare for UPSC. So for UPSC, I'm trying to give you an alternative method, and I'll exactly tell you how to use this to write an answer, and you will see. So If you are preparing on your own, let me tell you the agenda here. If you are preparing on your own, preparing at home, and if you feel that you want to appear in UPSC next year, 2025, but you don't have much time, because if you travel a lot, etc., your time will be wasted. This is the method that you should follow. I'll show you towards the end. You will see that, okay, there is something for me there. So what is the method I'm trying to give you? A method which should be good enough that if you're sitting on a study table, you can manage your life. You don't need to run here and there, watch 20 videos on the, nothing required. You can manage and have confidence. Be positive, you can still manage. So I'll show you how to manage. Now let's read this. It says, geopolitical solutions may alter supply chain. Okay. So situations. So geopolitical situations, which means, remember Red Sea problem. And similarly, if Russia, Ukraine keep on fighting, tomorrow US puts a sanction that I will not let the ships go through Pacific Ocean, etc. All these problems. What will happen? India will not get raw material. India will not be able to sell the finished product. Again, there is a problem. So they are saying geopolitical situations may alter supply chain, trade regulation. Remember tariff barriers, and then would dampen the India's investment, capital flow, etc., etc. Which means, if you read this, this is pure challenge. And what is it saying? It is saying India does not have skill. Public-private partnerships should be promoted. Digital economy should be improved. And then research and development in India is not very good. Every kind of challenge is mentioned. So what will we write? We will write challenge. Then we come towards the end. Ab yahan pe dekho what is written. That's the beautiful point which is written. See, it says FDI is allowed through automatic route in most of the sectors, while in areas like telecom, media, pharmaceutical, insurance, government approval is required. So there are two methods of FDI coming to the country, one automatic and one is government approval. That is what they have mentioned. So what is this called as? Examples of two routes through which FDI will come. So FDI comes to India through two methods. These two methods are mentioned. So we'll write example or methods. And the last part would be this. Let's read it. Under government approval route, a foreign investor has to get prior permission. So what is government approval? Under government approval, you cannot come to India if you are a foreign company. First, you have to write a letter to DPIIT. If DPIIT, Reserve Bank of India, and some ministries and department give you permission, then you can come. But under government route, you need permissions. But under automatic route, you can directly come to India without any permission, start your business and inform RBI within 30 days of your arrival. So automatic route, you do not require permission. Government route, you require prior permission before coming to India. And that is what is mentioned. So what are we going to call this paragraph as? Definition. I'll show you the use. Please mention definition. Definition. And then what is mentioned? Next paragraph, it is mentioned that there is something called as gambling, betting, chit funds, nidhis, like casinos. In all these things, foreign investment, FDI in India, not allowed, which means exceptions. Here, foreign investment is not allowed. So we'll write exception. Ab dekho, what are we going to do? We'll do one exercise. Now, this page is there in your handout. See, this page is attached to your handout. You can check. So what you have to do is, you have to look at all the things that we have mentioned. Dekho, see, like this. You see trend, you see agency. So wherever the word agency is mentioned, whatever is the name of the agency, you have to write it in front of these entries. SSC guys, agency, you have to write the name of the agency. Let's do it. Let's write it. So in your handout, you please fill these entries, page number 10. Let's fill it. To my online students, let's fill it, guys. What is the first one? Definition. What is the definition of FDI? It is given in the handout itself. So from your handout, look at the last paragraph. Definition is given. That FDI comes through automatic route, government route, because that's the only thing given. So we'll write. What are we going to write here? Definition. FDI. How does it come? It comes through automatic route and government route. And then exceptions are given. So you just have to write this: automatic route, government route, and some exceptions like Nidhi. If you do this, at the end of 10 minutes, you will see something coming out. And then I'll show you how to use it. And when you study a magazine from any institute, what do the magazines give you? Precisely this. So either you create on your own or you refer to ready-made material. At the end, you will get this only. So I'll tell you how to use this. So what am I trying to do with you? I'm trying to tell you that if you actually want to do everything on your own, 100% possible. But if you feel that you have shortage of time, then you can take the help of magazine. Even then you can do it. So I told you this session will be a very honest session where we'll try to argue that is it possible that within given time, limited time, can we prepare effectively so that we are mains ready? Yes, it is possible. I'll show you. So you write please automatic route, government route, then exceptions may please write the names of the exceptions. That these are the exceptions. In those sectors, FDI not allowed. What is the name of the agency, guys? DPIIT. How do you use your internet? The moment you see DPIIT, immediately in the bracket you should write DPIIT belongs to which ministry? Google and you have to find it. Ministry of Commerce and Industries. Brilliant. So one extra information you have to write like this. Now guys, see trend. Now please find out the trend from your handout which I showed you. So please tell me between April 2000 to September 2024, what has been the jump in FDI? 100. You also write it, please. 100 in your handout itself, please write. And then can you please tell me, there is one more thing. Trend related to manufacturing. What is the jump in manufacturing? 69%. Brilliant. MFG, manufacturing. And this 119 is overall. Overall. There are two entries. Overall, it jumped. Very good. Overall, it jumped by 119 and then 69, right? Now this one. Is there any other data given related to FDI? In manufacturing. So instead of writing everything at one place, we can write 69% more in manufacturing. Perhaps that's why I gave these 2 points. One more. So which are the countries which gave us funds? What shall I write? Mauritius. You also write it, please. Singapore. Netherlands. US. Then Netherlands, Japan, USA, UAE. You have to write the name of these countries. Do not need to write the data, etc. That USA 20%, 5%. No need to write all this. How far will you memorize? Wastage of time. If at all you have to memorize the first three. That combined FDI in India of the first three. Can you please add the FDI from these three countries and tell me the first three? 60% from three countries only. Wow. So 60% money comes from three countries. Amazing. Can you tell me the key sectors in which money is coming? Services. Very good. Manufacturing, very less. Electronics. IT, computer, software and hardware. So computer, software and computer hardware, as well as construction. Construction. This is what we will write here, right? Now let's go ahead and let's write what are the factors for success. You saw macroeconomics, right? So macro factors, then PLI, it said production linked incentive. What else? If you could see. Better industrial output, very nice. So industrial output. Reforms, very good. This is keyword here. Reform is the most important thing. Geopolitical headwinds, brilliant, very nice. So geopolitical scenario, global scenarios. Right, good. So see your factors also mentioned. Challenges. What are the challenges that we are having? Challenges is R&D, not there. Skill, not there, it is mentioned. PPP is less. We need to promote PPP. Digital infrastructure needs to be improved. So whatever you see in the newspaper, that article, you please write here challenges. Because if you do this, then only the question which I will give you will make sense. Otherwise, it will not make sense. So, and then suggestions. Suggestions. Manufacturing sector. Skill, because skill is a challenge. Infrastructure. And mergers and acquisitions we need to be slightly more lenient. We need to do it on case-to-case basis. Rather than banning everyone, we should judge based on the case-to-case basis. That should it be allowed or not. Otherwise, if you put a ban and say, I will never allow this, maybe one genuine case is there which will benefit India. So that is what we should be doing. These are the suggestions. Now see, what I have done is I have created one sheet for you. It must be attached at the last page. Last page, check. Last page check, guys, is there. What is the point that we had to mention as the first point? $1 trillion. Because that is why we have gathered here to celebrate $1 trillion, which has come to India through FDI. So if you look at all this, this is how the notes have been made. This is how the entire FDI notes has been made. It's ready. This is given in your handout. Now I'm going to show you a question. And in that question, we'll write it by using time. And I'll exactly show you how from newspaper you can collect these points without writing the details, and how you can put it simply in your answer and see the difference in the answer, how the answer will look like. So let me show you one answer. But you have that in your handout. You keep it ready. I'll open the answer. Now see, guys, the UPSC mains question and the answer. So your question is this. So what's the question? The question says define FDI. Right? So first part is define FDI. The second part says discuss the factors. Look at this peculiar question. It says discuss the factors that unleashed the current FDI trends in India. So you have to discuss those factors because of which we have received $1 trillion. So there is a trend in India currently. More money is coming in services, some money is coming in manufacturing. It has jumped. So we have to discuss what are the factors because of which the trend has happened. So there is a ghost question here. Something is hidden here. What is hidden? Which is not very apparent. It doesn't look that we have to write that, but we have to write it. So see, check the answer, the format of the answer, how the answer has to be created. Introduction, same rule, guys, which I gave you. I will do it now. Introduction, 30 words, 1 minute. We'll do it. That's your introduction. Second is first body of the answer. What is the first body of the answer which we are going to write? Define FDI. And when you define FDI, you have to write what is FDI, and then you have to write it is of two types, automatic route, government route. And then you have to write, but some sectors don't allow it, because clearly the question says define. So you have to write those sectors where it is not allowed. 1 or 2 examples. So that's your first part. The second question, what is UPSC asking? UPSC is asking us that we have to give the reasons for the current trend. How can we give the reasons for current trend without giving the trend? So first you have to give the trend that this is the trend. Then you have to write for this trend, this is the reason. That's your ghost question. We saw this type of ghost question in inflation also. We see this type of ghost question everywhere in UPSC these days. So I can give you one more example. I don't think I have got this question today, but I covered that in the previous workshop. I'll tell you the question. UPSC 2023 GS paper 3 question number 1. Faster economic growth requires the development of manufacturing, especially MSMEs. And you had to discuss the government policies to promote manufacturing in India. If you read this question, first question of 2023, that faster economic growth requires development of manufacturing, that is MSMEs. They did not say explain. They just gave the statement full stop and they said explain the policies. That's it. But why did they make the statement? Without saying discuss, explain, nothing mentioned. Just one statement mentioned that for faster economic growth, MSME and manufacturing is required, full stop, done. They said give the policies related to it. Can you give the policies related to it without justifying the statement? No. 10 marks is not given for writing policies. That was a ghost question, which was not explicitly told to us that we have to do, but without doing this, they will not check the answer. So here they are saying, what are the factors that led to current trend? So first write the current trend, which is not even being asked in the question. Then you have to write the factors, then you have to write the conclusion. This part we have to learn in answer writing. So are you understanding that answer writing for UPSC cannot only be about knowledge, because knowledge though we already have. We know the first part, FDI definition, we know the factors, we got it from newspaper. But if you write just these two things, do you think that UPSC will give marks? They will not give marks. Because look at the question. It's a 250 word, 15 marks question. There are three parts. One is a ghost question. And this is the new type of question which UPSC is asking, especially since last 3 to 4 years. This is the latest trend, 3 to 4 years. I have seen this in GS paper 2. I have seen this in GS paper 3, mostly. So how do you write the answer? You will write the answer like this. Introduction, don't change the rule, okay? 30 to 40 words, 1 minute. Conclusion, 30 to 40 words, 1 minute. And it's a 250 word question, 15 marks question, which means how many words are remaining? 200 words are remaining. Let us distribute the 200 words in three parts of the answer. Definition, 70 words. You know what is the meaning of 70 words? 70 words means 1 page. So are you going to write the definition in roughly 1 page? No. So we will not divide it equally. This is bad. Division should be done according to question. Customization should be done. Intro, conclusion will not change. So out of 250 words, 30 gone. 200 are remaining. We will not do it 70-70. What are we going to do? Make it half. Because this is just a definition. So 70 will become roughly 30 to 40, exactly like intro. And the word which we have saved here, 30 words saved, that 30 will go here and here. So now it becomes 85 words, 85 words. 3 minutes, 3 minutes, because I told you, for every 30 words, 1 minute. So this is like 90 words only, right? 80, 90 words, 3 minutes. So 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 1 minute 7, 1 minute 8, 1 minute 9. And remaining 2 minutes, brainstorm. That's how you distribute. Now imagine, you are a storehouse of knowledge. Why? Because you have revised very well. You have worked very diligently. There is no doubt about that. And you have worked very passionately. You remember all the points. You have not practiced like this. You will sit in an exam, open 3 sides. Side 1, side 2, side 3. And you will say, chalo, let us start. No idea when to stop introduction. No idea when to stop the first body. Continue writing. What will happen at the end? You will realize that by mistake, instead of writing 1 paragraph on definition, you have written 1 page on definition. Because you know it very well. And you will explain, automatic route is this, government route is. It doesn't end. See the problem? Which means that this discipline has to come. Likh lijiye isko. Please write it somewhere. I think in your handout, I have given this question. You have the structure in your handout. Have we given the time? I'll come to you. Have we given the time? So mention the time. It will help you. Don't change this. Give me time. I'll come. So 30, 40, 85, 85, 30. Mention it, please. And I told you, you can customize it based on your understanding and knowledge. This is one sample. Every question is unique. So it's not fixed. Introduction and conclusion roughly fixed. Even if you want to write more in intro and conclusion, you don't have the liberty. I told you we'll do this. So now, where is your question? So this is the notes which I have attached in the last page of your handout. This is that note which I have attached. I hope that all of you are carrying your notebooks. Are you carrying your notebooks? Let us do an exercise. This last page you keep open. Keep it open. And then open your notebook. To my online students, also do the same thing, guys. So because you have also been very patiently answering and participating. So let's do one thing, online and offline. You please open your notebook. Write the introduction. I'll give you exactly 1 minute. In the introduction, let me give you a tip to write introduction. It will really help you. I'll give you a tip for conclusion also. And this is the body of the answer. From here, you pick the body of the answer. So what should be the structure of the answer? See, the structure of the answer should be like this. It says define FDI, discuss the factors, which means first you have to write intro. Then you have to define FDI. Then you have to write the current trend, which is there in the last page. Then you have to write the factors because of which we have got good trend. And then you have to give some suggestions. How do you write introduction? You write introduction like this. Try to understand the introduction, guys. Take it very seriously. So for example, if I tell you, please introduce yourself. A very normal question in, not in UPSC, but elsewhere. So how do you write introduction? So you start telling that my great grandfather used to call me this. My neighbor calls me this. My best friend calls me this, and my special friend calls me this. Then you will say, my parents call me this. I don't like my name, but they have put a name to my, appearance. All these things you are going to say then. I wanted that wish I was born in Russia, but fortunately, I was born in India. These are the things you are giving as an introduction. Are you understanding the problem that will happen? This is a good introduction because you are being very honest. And they always tell us honesty is the best policy. Samajh lo, you are being honest. Be careful, right? So what will you write? Now, there is a constitution that we have. It's a beautiful constitution. In the beautiful constitution, if at all something of the original constitution remains after a lot of amendments, which we are currently seeing since almost 70 years, that was being discussed in the parliament. Every day we amend the constitution. I think after 50, 60 years, there will be a totally new constitution through amendments only. So wait, let's come back. We have a beautiful constitution. In this beautiful constitution, there is a very beautiful page, which is called as preamble. When you read the preamble, and personally speaking, I mean, I'm a big fan of preamble. The reason being, anybody who reads preamble gets to know what the tone of the constitution is without actually reading the constitution. So if you really want to know that what is the soul, what is the tone of the constitution, positive, negative, etc., you'll see a lot of positivity. That, okay, they are trying to do this. See, everything has two sides, but I see positivity in the preamble. So which means your introduction in life should be like the preamble of the constitution, where you should write all the keywords without explaining anything. Do not explain, but write everything. Show the tone to the examiner. This is what I feel. Another word instead of writing the preamble would be, if I have to find a better word that I don't have to use the word preamble every time. So what will I use? I will use the word context. Context. So if somebody will say that, why do you want to crack UPSC? Look at this answer. My first opening statement. I want to crack UPSC because I feel that I'll be a great IAS officer. Who is going to say that I'll be a crooked one? Why do you want to crack UPSC? Because I feel I'm the best officer of India in future. Who will say I'm the worst? That's not context. That could be the closing statement. That, sir, you won't regret if you select me. But that's not the opening statement. What should be the opening statement? I'll give you one answer. But don't use this answer in original UPSC interview. Your answer should be your own. But for example, recently I was having a mock session with one of the candidates and I asked the background. He was struggling with introduction, that if they asked me that, why should we select or why have you decided to be an IAS officer? I asked him his background. So he told me something. He said, one incident from the past. He said that, sir, I remember that I'm from a village area. He comes from UP, from some remote area of UP. So he was telling me that as a child, when I used to go and he lost his father when he was very young. So he was telling me that as a child, whenever I used to go to get some monetary help, etc., some documentation part, something related to food, ration, and all these things. He said, I had no idea how to do all these things. At a very young age, I grew up. But I did not have an idea because this is what father and mother do. But unfortunately, my mother had to work to sustain the family and my father was not there. Nobody was taking care. So I grew up very fast. At the age of 10, I was behaving like 20. So he said that when I used to go to various offices, no idea where to go, no idea how to claim the benefits which government actually wants to give me. So he said, I was more than corruption. He said, the thing which I was facing was lack of transparency and knowledge. So he said, I was not empowered with the right information. He said, corruption, etc. So everybody knows at what level, what is the corruption. But he said, as a child, I did not understand. So instead, he said, instead of calling it corrupt, I would say the system was not very transparent, not very helpful, and things were not very clear to me. I felt less empowered. Then I decided, it came to me that one day, if I get a chance, I would sit on that chair and make sure that nobody suffers and goes back empty-handed. I said, that's your introduction. So why? That's the context. So if somebody will say, why do you want to be an IAS officer? What's the context? The context is not because I'm the best person on the planet. Everybody is best, right? So that's not correct. We all are good in our world. We all have good sides, bad sides. So let's not compare two people. But what is the context here? Context is coming from a rural background. So instead of saying only rural or coming from a less privileged background, instead of that, you should say coming from a humble background, and that too from a rural area. When I did not have a parent to support me, I had to do everything which a guardian would do. And there I realized that the system has been designed in such a way that flow of information is very transparent. so that my time and energy is not wasted and I'm not deprived of the things which actually government wants to deliver to me. So there I felt that I can contribute because I have suffered, I have seen it firsthand, not because government did something wrong to me, targeted me, nothing like that happened, but because I believe that system can be improved and I can be a part of it. Since I have experienced it, so I can contribute. What a beautiful introduction it would be. So similarly, when you get this kind of question, the first thing that should come to your mind is, why FDI? Because they are saying that there is a certain trend which is showing currently India is getting more FDI, and they are saying which are the factors which are bringing more FDI. So what is the context of all this? The context of all this is we are a developing country. We do not have sufficient resources. Since we don't have sufficient resources, there is a resource gap. So our savings are not enough to finance our industries and investment. Hence, we need external help. That is the context. So if you mention these things, it will be a great context. But if you want to go one step ahead, then you can say that macroeconomics knowledge that you have, that in India, we suffer from a problem called a saving investment gap. So we want this level of investment, but our savings is of this level. And whatever savings we have, most of the saving goes in land and gold. People are not very active in giving money to corporates through shares and bonds. So our savings are not reaching the industries. There's a gap. For this gap, we are inviting FDI. FDI also brings with it technology, etc., management practice technology, right? R&D. That's why we need that. We need to fill this gap along with external things, external help. That could be one of the good introductions. There could be multiple, but if you ask me, frankly speaking, which introductions are preferred by the examiners a lot, they love the contextual introduction. So that's your context. And then you can write the body. Define FDI. So you understand FDI comes to India through what channel. Then you write it very briefly. And then you write the current trend, etc., etc. So I have given you some heads up. I have given you some material also in the last page of your handout. Let us start writing, then I'll show you the answer here. So let's start writing. Let's not waste time. So please open your notebook. Let's do in a timed manner. Let's learn something in today's lecture. So let me see my stopwatch. And guys, this is how we do in our current affairs classes in Vajiram. Precisely, and whatever course I take, I do this only. Wherever I do answer writing, this is precisely we follow. So we'll do it with you also to make the session more effective. We don't have to do time pass, right? So let's be effective, let's be passionate. Write the answer as if you're writing the real exam. Content is there with you. So your time starts now. 1 minute to my online and offline students. Please write your intro. Just 3 lines. And really good to connect to my online students. Very nice to see you, Manu, Aditya, Shruti. All of you, I can see you there. But I won't disturb you. Write the answer first. 3 lines. Write it, guys. At the end, you'll see a great thing coming out of you. And your time is up. So you just had to write 2-3 lines. I'll show you something interesting, huh? So stop wherever you are, guys. Now, we are going to write the first body of the answer, which is definition of FDI. And how many words are we going to use? Roughly around 40. 40 words would mean 4-5 lines. In 4-5 lines, we are going to write the definition and just 1 minute. You can take 1.5, but try to take 1 minute only. Your time starts now. What will you write? What is FDI? FDI brings cash plus technology, blah, blah, automatic route, government route. Convert it into nice literature in 1 minute, online and offline. Let's start. Give your best, guys. Be energetic, give your best. This is your opportunity to learn something really new, experience something really new. And I hope my online students are also writing. Take the help of the content. Very good to see you, Toiba. 22 batch. Great to connect. Done? Very nice. So, guys, time is up. Please stop wherever you are. Yeah, that's how you should practice your answer writing. Acha, imagine this. I would not have stopped you. You know what would happen? Try it at home. You would have done it many times. You'll keep on writing automatic and government route for next 20 minutes because you know it. So let's stop online or offline. Huh? Now let's go to the third part. For this, the content is there in your handout. You have to write it in the form of nice literature that what is the current trend. Remember 2000 to 2024, then 2010 to 2014, 14 to 24. That trend is there. Which countries are giving us FDI? All the trend is there in your handout, last page. Same here. Great to see you. But you please try to write the answer. I'll be more happy. So for this, I'm giving you guys 3 minutes. And let me tell you how much do you have to write this. At least half a page or at least 3/4 of a page. Like this. So you have to write at least half or 3/4. And if you want to draw diagram, etc., flowchart, do it. But at least half a page you'll have to write. So your time starts now. Please write the current trend. Let's write what has happened in last 10 years, percentage. Use the last page. Good. Use the last page. Absolutely. Nice. Very good evening, Ankush. I hope you are also writing. Good. Is there a diagram for this answer? Normal? Good. Take the exercise seriously, guys. Write it with full passion because at the end, you will see something really beautiful coming out of you. Don't focus on handwriting. Initially, focus on content. Handwriting will come. Don't worry. Focus on content. Very nice. Oh, great to see. Acha. Okay, you were there in the pre-COVID batch. Devesh, done. Wonderful. And guys, your time is up. So we can actually take a break here from this part of the answer. So this part of the answer is done. Do not write even a sentence more. I told you at the end you will see something interesting. So I think how many of you are doing it for the first time like this by looking at one? Doing it for the first time, no? You'll see something beautiful. I promise you that let the answer be complete. You'll see something interesting. So body number 3, where you have to write the factors. Again, you have to write at least half a page, little bit more, if possible. 3 minutes to write what are the factors which led to success. Very nice to see you are doing it for the first time. So factors that led to success, here you can draw a flowchart as well. So let's start writing the factors. Start, please. Factors. It is mentioned, see? So try to write it in the form of bullet points, diagrams, whatever suits you. Okay, so very good to see here. Study, right? I hope that language is not a barrier for you. I hope you are able to understand what I am trying to do here. Write properly, guys. Take it seriously. Write nicely all the bullet points. Hello, SO, MC. Good to see you. Oh, where are you from? J5. Very nice. Okay. So I think you have hardly 40 seconds now. Write all the bullet points. Guys, give your best always, huh? Okay, time is up. So let's take a pause. By the way, just let me tell you one thing. I know that you already know these things. I don't need to tell you, but you are truly lucky in the sense that because of the support from your family, your parents, somebody who is behind your back, you are able to prepare for the exam, and you have an opportunity in front of you, online and offline. So whenever you get an opportunity to learn, because there are many who don't have this opportunity, so you are lucky in that sense that you have the opportunity, you have to convert it into result. So whenever you get an opportunity to learn something new, etc., give your best, because you never know what will come to your rescue in the exam. One new thing learned, one factor might change the fortunes. So take these sessions very positive. We take it very seriously with you guys. We don't want to waste your time. So similarly, you should also give your best, like you are giving currently. So when I ask you to write the conclusion, make sure that you give your best. Later on, I'll tell you how to write conclusions also. I'll give you some tip. So now is the time when you write conclusions. One tip for you in the conclusion would be you can give some positive suggestions. And you can connect everything with Amrit Kal, maybe, if possible. See if you can do that. Conclusion, 1 minute, 30 words. Thank you. And your time has just completed the allocated time. So definitely we'll talk. So guys, let's wrap up. Can we do one thing? Can you show me your answer sheets from where you are? I would like to see that. I'll tell you the reason, because I want to see first of all how much you wrote. So we'll start from this side. So can you show me how much you wrote? Just the quantum, the quantity. Okay. All right. 1 page, 2 pages. I'll first see the left side, then I'll come to right side. And then I'll ask my online students also about how much you wrote. All right. This side. Okay. At least everybody has written 1 page, so I can see 100% sure. But average is 1.5 to 2 pages. That's what I can see. 1.5 to 2 pages. You show me. Okay. There. 1.5 page. Awesome. It's 2-3 pages. Almost like 1.5, 2.5 page. Wow. It's 3 page actually, because if you leave the margin, it will become a 3 page, 2 pager. Good. 2.5. But I'll tell you what. Okay, great. I'll tell you what. To my online students, can you tell me one thing, guys, by doing some calculation that suppose, bacho, see this please. To my offline, I have seen. If you have written like this, edge to edge, then this 1 page is like 1.25 page. If you have written edge to edge, because side margins have to be left. In UPSC, you can't write in margins. So if 1 page edge to edge, it is like 1.25. So if you have written 1, it's more. So based on that, can you please tell me, my online students, I can see average you are giving me is 1.5. Nobody has written less than 1.5 by all these calculations. What did we observe? That if you look at the time, I'll show you 2-3 things. If you look at time, 3, see, the pages have increased. If you look at time and time your answer, like every section has to be timed. Introduction, 1 minute. Conclusion, 1 minute. Body, 3 minutes. Or 2.5 minutes. What will happen to us in a month or 15 days? First of all, we become disciplined. Second, मैं आपको बताता हूँ what is important. Suppose you have just 1 minute before catching your train or flight. There are 200 phone numbers in your phone book. But you have to say a nice bye. Before catching the flight, you are going abroad somewhere and you won't be able to talk for next 15 days. You will be busy. But you have to say bye to some important people. Just 1 minute. Will you be able to call 200 people? You will select emotionally, mentally, and psychologically that which is the number which I have to dial. Maybe 1 or 2 numbers, and that's it. So exactly you have to do this when you write your mains answer. So you have fixed time to write your answer, and you know that in those 3 minutes you have to complete one part of the body of the answer, 3 minutes or 2 minutes, whatever you are getting. So what will you do emotionally? You have to select which are the points that I'm going to write. So first thing that you do in your answer writing is you time your answer at home. First of all, start doing this. It helps. Number one. So after today, never write an answer without timing. It will help you to give a sense of urgency that while preparing, you will prepare the most important points first, because you will know that I won't get time to write the points which are not important. So that urgency will come in you. So if ideally you would have been taking 3-4 attempts to crack the exam, immediately it will become 1 or 2 attempts. So there only you save your time first. That's the first thing. Second, initially do not focus on handwriting, because if you focus on all the variables at one go, you won't be able to take care of it. Mathematics says, statistics says, and life says that if you have to achieve some goal and you focus on 20 things at one time, in everything will be bad. One goal at a time. First, discipline. Second, number of words. Done. Third, then we start to see that if we are disciplined, what kind of points are we writing? Are we writing the most important points? No. Then go back and prepare the content. Are we writing some current affairs data, some reports? No. Prepare a list that which are the committees which are there in the field of FDI. You Google, you'll find it. Now you have AI. AI will give you the answer. Chandrasekhar committee. Immediately you will get an answer. So what do you do first? You time your answer. Number one, introduction, body, conclusion. Second, then you try to count the number of words that are you writing the words. So ideally you should have written 2 pages. Minimum 2 pages you should have written. If not, that means you need to go for the content once more. But everybody on an average has written at least 1.5 pages if I remove the side margin, which is good. Because I have seen people, trust me, you try this experiment, you will see, if you don't look at time, maybe you keep on thinking and you'll write half the page and realize, what have I done? In 7 minutes, half a page. At least everybody has written 1.5. You just have to increase 0.5. Now the quality of the content. I'll give an example of how to improve the quality using current affairs and static area. Dekhe, I have created a sample for you. Look very carefully about the answer. Did I give this answer in your handout? Open and see if it is there. Please check, guys. Is it there? Yeah, it's there. So let's open it. And let me tell you how to write it. So this is the introduction. This is the introduction which we have to write. Check. What is the introduction? How do you introduce this answer? Dekhe, see bacho. This I have not given. Introduction I will verbally speak because this is not difficult. The complex part I have given in your handout, the body. This is simple. So what is the introduction? You'll write, India being a developing country. See this, please. India being a developing country, domestic savings are not sufficient for investment. FDI helps us to fill this gap. Done. That's it. So if I write this kind of introduction, it saves my time and space and gives me more leverage that I can write a better body of the answer. That's why I save my time and space here. Yes, you can write more, but the cost will be, you will have to compromise the body of the answer. Don't do that. This is called context. So India being a developing country, we wrote it. Then we wrote that domestic savings are not sufficient, done. And then what are we writing? We are writing that we have to fill this gap, hence FDI is required. Full stop, done, that's it. Now let's look at the first body of the answer. Now dekho the mistake which we might have made in our answer. So question says define FDI, which means technically your definition has to be correct. So what is the definition of FDI? There are 2 definitions of FDI in India. FDI for listed companies, FDI for unlisted companies. One of a friend wrote it, I saw. What is the meaning of FDI for listed company? Listed means if the company is listed in stock exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange. What is FDI? I'll give an example. Suppose that a foreigner is coming to India. Let's say this foreigner is Mr. Bill Gates. He wants to put FDI in Infosys. So what will he do? If he comes to India and he purchases greater than or equal to 10% stake means ownership in Infosys. So if he buys 10% or more than 10% stake through equity shares in a listed company, then this is called as FDI. But what is the meaning of FDI in unlisted company? You take unlisted company like a startup. Like suppose I have a factory where I manufacture notebooks. It's a startup. A startup is not listed in stock exchange because unless I have experience of 3 years to 5 years, I won't be listed. But this is the first year of my company. I want foreign investment. So anybody who comes to my company, FII, anybody, doesn't matter, who invests even 1 rupee in my company, if the company is unlisted, this rupee, even 1 rupee, is called as FDI. So there are two definitions of FDI, one for listed, one for unlisted. This has to be written here, first line. So how are we going to write in a very crisp manner that greater than equal to 10% stake in listed companies is FDI and any stake in unlisted is FDI. One line, done. Then we will say that FDI can come to India in three ways. Either through automatic, which means you do not require prior permission to come to India. So if somebody wants to construct roads in India, example, or somebody wants to spend money in the solar energy field in India, you don't need prior permission for solar energy. You can directly come and start because India is an energy hungry country. So that's called automatic route. What is government route? Somebody wants to open a bank in India. You need permission. So that's your government route. There is a third, which is a mix of automatic plus government. It is called as hybrid route. Which means if you want to enter into, example, suppose that if you want to enter into the field of, let's say, biotechnology. So example, in some biotechnologies, if you want to enter India, up to 51% ownership, you can get without informing the government. You can simply get it. But if you want to become 100% owner of a lab, which is doing experiments on DNA, then Government of India says, initially you can come to India without informing anyone. Just come to India, start your job, then inform, 51%. If you want 100% ownership, then you have to take permission. So it's a mix. Initially, free entry, then you have to take permission. That's called hybrid. See, static area. It's pure static. And then you have to write, FDI brings ownership, management, technology, and stability to the country. So this is your pure static part. Nothing here is current affairs. Absolutely static. So I tell you this again without any biasness, even though this is a current affairs session, but a mentor and a faculty should never be saying things which are untrue. So I'll tell you a fact. Without static areas, current affairs is nothing. And without current affairs, it's not easy to get marks in the static area. Because 70%, 60% will always be static. That's your static. Now see the beauty of current affairs for which I called you today. That's your current affairs. See. So what is it saying? Trend. How do you write a beautiful answer? So for example, suppose that somebody randomly wants to enter our classroom. Our doors are locked, but somebody wants to enter. What will the person do? Knock, knock. May I come in? This is the good etiquette. This is how we enter the class. So that may I come in is a line which you speak because you do not want to abruptly enter and disturb somebody. So you say that, can I come? This is exactly how you start a new paragraph. So first you wrote introduction, then you wrote the definition of FDI. Now you are changing because now the question says that you have to write what are the factors which made us success. But I told you before factors, you have to write the success story. What is a success? That's your success story. Randomly don't start writing trend is this. No. If you want to start a new section, you have to write one line first, which summarizes the things, which gives you a connection between previous paragraph and new paragraph. What are you going to write? Because question directly has not asked us this. But why are you writing this? You have to tell the examiner that, sir, can I come in? Can I write this? So you tell the examiner that in last 7 decades, FDI policy has transformed in India from guarded means little conservative to liberal. So earlier, we were more guarded. No, I will not allow FDI because I feel that it can be a threat to me. And then we started to say, yeah, it's okay, let them come. So from guarded to, yes, close to open. That's our attitude. This tells the story. And then we will write that, what is the result of being open? There you go, 1 trillion, this. So you have to explain all this. And then you have to write one very important part. That in India, we are following ease of doing business in FDI. How? If somebody wants to come to India currently through government route, you simply have to go to one portal called as Foreign Investment Facilitation Portal, FIFP. That portal gives you access to DPIIT. You write your application, call DPIIT. Hey, DPIIT, I want to come to your country. Can I come? DPIIT says, yes, sir. Single window clearance. I'm going to inform you within next 48 hours. Done. If they have to say yes, they will call you. If they have to say, they will say rejected. Finished. No here and there, no in between, hanging in between. No. Either you get yes or no. If they say no, they will tell you what is the problem. And then you can come and reapply after 6 months. This is how FDI goes in India currently. Very sorted and very smooth. At least we are trying that. Earlier, the file used to go in some department, used to wait there for 3 years. Then you call them, how are you doing? They will say busy. So now we have a dedicated department, DPIIT, which says I have only one job, to reject people. Sorry, to select people. Right? You understand. So that's what you have to write. One extra point from your side, DPIT. But did you see where to write current affairs? Dekho, this thing that you see copy paste is directly from that newspaper article which we did. So see where to use it. So I'm not saying that you have to start your answer with current affairs. Why will I start my answer with current affairs? I don't have to give overdose, no? So what will I do? I'll create a balance. I'll write this. Ab dekho, what are the factors? See, this is how you write the factors. Check. So what are we doing? These are the factors. This entire factor I have copied from that last page of your handout which I gave you, but in a different way. See how. So what are we doing? We saw in the newspaper that government is flaunting everywhere that before 2014 things were different. After 2014 everything is different. We take the same tone because we don't have other data. We have data like that only. So we will use that data. So what are we saying? We will say that, okay, before 2014, India was mostly following government route. Mostly we used to bring FDI till 51%. After that, we used to say, nah, don't come. And what used to happen? We have a body called as FIPB. This used to be very, very bureaucratic body, which means that things were moving little slow. So many officials were involved. File used to take 3 years to be cleared because everybody used to say, no, I'll read it. So don't use the word corruption. Say delays, official delays. Because unless you can prove corruption, I strongly suggest don't write it. Because then it will be saying things in a very generic manner that everything is corruption. I don't agree to that. Because if everything is corruption, then as Mr. Raghav Chadha says, India would have become Somalia. So everything is not corruption. So we will say there were a lot of delays and a bureaucrat has to be very balanced personality. So delays. Less number of FTAs, free trade agreements. More the free trade agreement, more is the FDI. So earlier we had less number of free trade agreement with our best friends also. Like with UAE is a best friend. Since centuries, we never had an FTA with UAE. We never thought of it. Australia, see what Australia is doing with us. So we also need something from them after losing all the matches. At least kuch nahi to give us money. They took the World Cup also. So what do we need from them? FDI. Right? So that's why. Now, post 2014, what has happened? Dekho, comparison. Post 2014, what has happened? Automatic route, 100% FDI, DPIIT, and more FTA. This is what you will write as the first introductory line of factors. That before 2014, we were more guarded, mostly government route. After 2014, we have become little more open with more FTAs, etc. This is your opening line, which you have to write here. Then you will write that what are the factors which led to success? Because this was not mentioned in our article. So this we write because India has just celebrated anniversary of Make in India. And under Make in India, how many sectors are there? 27. And what is true about Make in India? Almost all the sectors, not all, but almost all the sectors have been put under automatic route. That's what we are writing. Most of the sectors under automatic route of FDI. And then we are writing that top recipients. So which are the top recipients? Which sectors are top recipients? This we will write from our current affairs. See, computers, services, trade. That's what we are writing. Pharmaceuticals, telecom. So 60%, you calculated 60%, you told me. So around 60% comes from there. There you go, current affairs. So what did we see? This is purely current. Next part, Make in India. Somebody was asking online that should we write example? Yeah, that's your example. That under Make in India, how are we gaining? And then you have to write PLI, Production Linked Incentive Scheme. See, what are we writing? Under PLI, we are promoting both domestic and foreign investment. Why PLI is there in India? You know it. PLI is there in India because India wants to become a global champion. What is global champion? One of the largest exporters of goods and services in the world. That's what we want to become. So how do you become one of the largest exporters? By bringing FDI and good technology, because our R&D is very weak. So here we have allowed both domestic and foreign. See, example, semiconductor, Taiwan. Taiwan has just invested in India more than 70,000 crores in Gujarat and Assam. So you have to write Gujarat and Assam here. That becomes your example from current affairs. And then what are the other factors? Infrastructure. Remember, PPP in India is not very good. We need to promote it. So we are saying some of the PPP is already there, and where foreign companies have already participated in infrastructure. Our infrastructure 100% allows FDI. So that's why we mentioned it as a separate point. And then trade deal. You see, we have signed trade with Australia, with Europe. We have signed it with so many countries, Sri Lanka, with almost every country. Whosoever is doing trade with us, we are interested. With US, we are talking. With UK, we are talking. So that's what we are writing. Trade deal also brings FDI. And then India is trying to promote export-oriented industries. Which are the industries? Textile, mobile phone, defense, etc. And in all these sectors where we want to export, we are telling foreign companies, come to India. BrahMos missile, Russia. Drone manufacturing, Israel. So see what we are doing. We are picking up countries one by one and we are saying, help us, we want to export. Create your base and factory here. So that's what we have mentioned. So these are your factors. So if you see the notes which I have given you towards the end, some of the factors from there and some of the factors from our side. But this is current affairs. None of the points are old points. So this entire body is current affairs. I think I've given this in your handout. Yeah. Now let's see the challenges. Ab dekho, challenges again, direct current affairs. You see, this I have taken from the current affairs which I gave you from newspaper. See, what are the challenges? Geopolitical issues, supply chain, trade, skill, capex, PPP, R&D, digital economy. And our most of the labor force in India is not formal. Malab, they have no training, they work in informal sector. So see, how do we write the challenges? Like this. India must focus on technology sharing in FDI. So if somebody comes to India, like for example, Tesla wanted to come to India and Tesla said, I will bring my cars from China, I'll sell it in India. And I will open stores in India. We said, don't come. If you will manufacture 30% cars in India, then please come, otherwise don't come. So 30% components have to be sourced from MSMEs of India. Then please come, otherwise you're not welcome. We did the same with Apple, we did the same with Samsung. So we are saying that since we are the world's largest market, 140 crore people, right? So if somebody will threaten us by saying that, no, I will go to Australia to sell my product. What is the population of Australia? Connaught Place metro station. So we can easily say that one Australia travels from CP metro station every day. So go to CP metro station, Karol Bagh metro station on Sunday. You will see one Australia passing by. Right? So we are trying to tell all the countries in the world that, boss, you want to come to India. India is a planet. 141 crore people by God's grace. Right? And we'll maintain this. So this 141 crore is not going to come down. So we'll touch 200 also one day. Yes, 200. Yeah, he set the target. Right? 200, right? Cool. Even though we have not contributed. So what are we planning to do for India? We are planning to tell everyone that, see, other countries are aging. India is getting younger. Young and aspirational India. So if you want to sell your mobile phone in India, manufacture in India, share the technology with us. Right? It's another thing that if you manufacture missiles, etc. in India, some missiles will misfire. But largely we are very stable. Only some missiles misfire. Only some Ola scooters will boom. But mostly we are good. What am I trying to tell you? R&D. We said it in a very different way, but we already pointed out the problem. That bring technology, test it. Don't blindly bring technology and say, yeah, every technology is great for it. No. Test the technology, whether it suits our condition or not. So if you manufacture those things which are very sensitive to humidity, your electronic circuits are very sensitive to humidity, those devices and gadgets won't work in India. Try taking those devices to Odisha and Mumbai and see what happens. Seashore, it will not work. So which means that the shelf life of the products will be very less if you take it in these areas. We are a tropical country, so we have to customize the products also. These things we should keep in mind when you bring the technology, customized to local conditions. What is Tesla doing? Other places, Tesla is selling car in other countries for 1 crore and 2 crore. What is Tesla doing in India? Government of India motivated them and told them, beta, if you want to sell cars in India, it should be affordable, 15, 20 lakh. Now they're saying, yes, you are right. So they changed their policy. Yesterday only I heard the news that they're looking for a showroom in Delhi, 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. They are saying that we'll call it as experience center for Tesla cars, customized to Indian conditions. Now they have agreed for everything. 3 years back, they were saying India is not a good place for business. Yeah, we are not a good place for business, agreed, but we are the only place for business these days. Right? So now see, there is one problem in India. The problem is, what are the challenges? I'll give you one figure. Most of the FDI that you see in India is in services. Very less FDI comes to manufacturing. And I have one extra point to add from my side. There are two types of services. One is basic services like chartered accountant, doctor, teacher, very basic. Now, but there is another type of service which is called digital service. So out of all the FDI that we are getting, the FDI which goes in digital technology and digital service like payment apps, mobile payment app, digital, IT, digital. So 52% of total FDI in India, 52, goes in digital. It is called digital FDI. So FDI is of two types, digital and physical. So digital FDI in India is roughly 52% to 53%. Physical FDI means road construction, hospital construction, infrastructure, manufacturing companies. That is physical FDI. Physical FDI is 30%. So lagbag almost 52% is digital. Normal physical is 30. So 80%, 82%. What about remaining 20 in conventional things? Like I told you, chartered accountant, financial service, where there is no, digital breakthrough kind of thing, conventional things, 20%. But physical, manufacturing infrastructure, roughly around 30, 52% digital, and remaining 20 here and there. This is how the FDI is. That is hidden. Newspaper did not write that point because that will show a problem. So that's a challenge. So in data, you can actually change the data to suit your requirement. You can simply say, see, so much of FDI is coming. Let's break it down. Where is the FDI coming? Same sector where it was coming 20 years back. That's why our manufacturing is not getting the benefit. So we will say, good, we are getting FDI in digital. We are really happy. But what about manufacturing? Because jobs will be created in manufacturing. So it's a problem. We need to diversify. Don't be too happy. Don't celebrate 1 trillion. Be a little careful and make sure that 1 trillion is diversified, because we celebrate too early. That's also a problem, like after first test match. Right. So, so skill, labor laws, infrastructure, and governance. These are some things where we need to improve. Yahan pe there was a problem. You know it. What is the skill level of India? 4.7%. For roughly less than 5% is the skill labor force of this country. Out of total workforce of India, less than 5% have formal skill. And what is the skill level of South Korea? 96%. India, 4.7%. On the basis of that, we are bringing FDI. How will FDI come? What quality of FDI will come? So that's the problem. Next, too much dependence. So guys, suppose that you meet somebody today for the first time and you tell that person that whenever you smile, I'll smile. For how long can a person smile? Few times. But nobody can smile all the time. So if you depend on your happiness to somebody else's happiness, that if somebody else is happy, I'll be happy. One day that person won't be happy. And then there will be a problem. So India is saying Russia, BrahMos, Israel, drones, France, airplanes, Italy, selfies. Oh, sorry. Slip of tongue. So, right. See, slip of tongue should happen here. Right. France, Rafale. So, which whatever we are getting it from FDI, all the technology. We should not be happy. We should, in fact, introspect, because you know what is happening now. So, whatever preparation I'm doing it with the help of my friend. One day, my friend will leave Delhi and say, I'm going to prepare from my hometown. The problem? You see the problem? So, what are we doing here? 0.65% of our GDP is invested in R&D. Look at R&D, 0.65%, not even 1%. On the basis of this, we want to become a superpower. Problem. Big problem. Because today, if you get a lot of technology from others, those people who are giving you the technology will say that I will service these technologies. I will upgrade them. Huge dependence. That's not a good thing. So we are not saying everything is bad. What are we saying? Scope of improvement. For every good thing, there is a scope. That's what we are saying. So see, conclusion. Ab dekho conclusion. What do you write in conclusion? infrastructure development, skill development, R&D, we already saw, PPP, governance, labor laws, and investor-friendly laws. What is investor-friendly laws? I'll tell you. Double tax avoidance agreement and most favored nation status, Switzerland. See the problem. So what has Switzerland said? Switzerland has said, I will react because I was hoping that India will cooperate. So they said we were hoping. Now, since we did not fulfill the expect, I'm not saying we should have, but I'm saying that there should have been better clarity in the contract so that expectations should not have been hurt. So in fact, maybe I'm giving a passive support to what we have done, but the way we supported or opposed is not good. So I won't put a verdict whether we did right or wrong, because Supreme Court said it, that we cannot conclude from the agreement that we should help Switzerland in giving what they are asking. Today's session is not on Switzerland, else I would have spoken about it. Maybe in some other session. In great details, I'll speak. So what Supreme Court of India said, the thing which they are asking, it is not mentioned in the contract. How can we give it? This point, Supreme Court is right. But Switzerland is telling us that we hoped that India would give it anyway. Because from our side, we are doing. So we hoped you will also do it. But Supreme Court said, no, legality is legality. Which means that there are a few things where we need to improve. These are the things we need to improve. But what did I tell you? I told you that please try to connect it through Amrit Kal. So tell in your conclusion that if we work upon our infrastructure, skill development, research and development, labor laws, from there pick 2-3 points. And tell that if we provide good skill development to the demographic dividend of India, then demographic dividend will become productive dividend and more FDI will come, thinking that they have the labor force, labor cost will be low. So we have the competitive edge. We have people, train them. And then labor laws. Why? Because we have to protect our people also. You can't throw them in front of FDI and say, go and exploit. No, that we can't do because we follow welfare objective, DPSP. So we can't let our people suffer. So balance has to be created. So what is the rule of writing conclusion? The rule of writing conclusion, aise aap likh lo. Rule of writing conclusion is 3 points have to be given in conclusion. What are the first point that you give in conclusion? The first point you give in conclusion is, see this guys, the first point you give in conclusion is some issues which are contemporary. So you can say that there is one problem here. The problem is skill development is low, governance part is slightly weak. So we can say that perhaps we can work upon our governance, skill development, land acquisition, and environmental clearances. These things are slightly slow in India. So we can say that there are some issues like environmental impact assessment, land acquisition, skill, and domestic R&D. So we can say that these are some of the issues where we need to work, and then we can say some good things. So for example, we can say one good thing that we have schemes like PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, we have ease of doing business, and government has created R&D funds without naming, because in conclusion, we don't have space to write all this. So we will say government has launched programs like PMKVY, then ease of doing business and research fund in the budget, but we need to keep it sustainable if we want inclusive growth during Amrit Kal. This part can be the last. So last statement has to be very positive, that if we are able to sustain these efforts, we can solve these issues and we can become a developed country, as government says, during Amrit Kal. So first, in your conclusion, you have to write 1 or 2 issues which you feel is still bothering India, 1 or 2 issues which you feel can be solved. Then you write what government is doing, just 1 or 2 schemes which is other than what is the question asking. So we said skill is a problem, PMKVY. So we can write one or ease of doing business, 1 or 2 things. Then we can write, if we keep it sustained, obviously we'll get results. And our target is to become a developed country by 2047 using inclusive growth, which is possible. This way we can conclude. Next way of conclusion is another way of very generic. So we can write that FDI can be the growth engine which should be utilized with proper checks and balances. So if you are not getting time in the exam to write anything, you can just write one statement that FDI can be used as, you can write it. It's a generic conclusion, but very nice conclusion. You can write FDI can be the growth engine. FDI can be the growth engine to help the economy with capital, technology, in order to boost our growth, improve export, generate employment, during Amrit Kal. This can be a very simple conclusion. So if you ask me how to write conclusion, there is a best way of writing conclusion. You write some contemporary issues followed by some government schemes to handle them. Then you write that if we can sustain it, we'll achieve good result, positive. If you feel that this is too much in the exam, you don't have time for every question, you can't do this, no problem, then write this conclusion. This is also a very good conclusion to write. So guys, this is pretty much what I wanted to do with you. And I wanted to tell you one last thing. Hold on, it's just last thing, because this was one exercise, but summary of all this. What is the agenda of meeting? The agenda of meeting was to tell you where exactly in your answer you can punch in the current affairs, but to give you one thing, which you should take away. In your handout, it is mentioned, and use this to create some kind of notes from your magazine or newspaper. I'll show you the structure. Then you should have this. देखिए, this is given in your handout. See if you can find this, guys. So page number 6, page number 6, page number 6. So please open page number 6. One jugaad for you, because I told you that since you have to prepare, you have to appear in UPSC in 2025, you don't have much time. And even if you are planning for 2026, do one thing. There's a suggestion. Try doing this and let me know in the other workshop if it worked or not, online and offline. Take a photocopy of this page, which I have attached here. Keep this photocopy in front of your study table, and I'll tell you how to use. The moment you read one article in your magazine or newspaper, in your article, just try to find out this structure, that can you find something in the article which can help you to introduce an answer. If you can find it, just write the keywords. Like for example, for FDI, we realize that India is developing. FDI can help us in fulfilling saving investment gap. That's it. No literature. So developing, FDI can fill the saving investment gap. Just these 3 words. Then you try to read the article and see if in the entire article, I made you mark a few things today, that data, suggestion, something like that. So see in your article, if you see any kind of definition or components, so next to your article, wherever definition or component is, you should put an arrow and write definition in your magazine itself. One of your friend online asked almost like 1 hour back, how to use magazine to do these things. That's what I'm telling you. Do not need to make notes. You simply take your magazine article and put it sideways, as say like this. And if you feel that you can come back to this, great. If not, take this 1 page ka photocopy. And in that article, you simply write that, okay, meaning of what FDI is given in this article. Staple this page with that. Every month, you should create a page like this in important articles. So suppose today you read article related to FDI. You can't make notes. You don't have time for all this. Because if you start making notes, I told you, this will become a 20-year program. You don't have that much time. And please don't look for perfection. So if I were you, what will I do? I'll open a magazine. I'll give an example. Suppose it came in Recital magazine. I'll read it. I'll say, okay, calm down. I'll take a photocopy of this page. And in this page, I'll fill it up. Without making proper notes, I'll just fill it up. That meaning and definition. Okay, FDI through automatic route, government route, listed, unlisted. Done. How much time will it take? 5 seconds. This is what I'll do. And I will not put any information from my side. Fir to it will become, very time taking. I'll just pick up the information which is given in the article and put it here. Because one day will come when I do this thing at least once or twice with FDI, then I don't need to do it in future. I have to do it only once or twice for every theme. That's it. For MSP, I'll do it once or twice. That's it. Third time, if the article comes, I'll not do this. I'll just read and I'll say, I know it. One or two extra point, I'll put it here. Method or formula or model. See? So you try to identify these keywords in the article. So in the article, if you see any method or formula, for example, MSP article, formula will be there. FDI article, method will be there. Automatic route, government route. We'll just mention it. And it will be used somewhere in my answer. In future, whenever I get a question where this can fit, I'll lift it, use it there. And similarly, see this part, body 2. If I find some schemes, government schemes or policies, like I did today, we did it today, Make in India PLI, we'll just write Make in India PLI and we'll write it promotes FDI. We'll simply write increases FDI. That's it. What will happen is whenever I get a question in future where this point will come handy, I'll just open, revise easily, say, very easy, no literature, just few points. Similarly, in the article, if I see some challenges, which I showed you today, we'll just put an arrow and write skill, R&D, blah, blah, all these things. Done. And similarly, solutions. So what will happen is, take up a theme, keep this template with you. For the first time, I thought that I'll share the template which I use. This is how I memorize the article, etc. Because without memorization, suppose if I start to tell you about a theme, it will take too much of time. There will be too much confusion. But when data is there, data you have to memorize. Structure you have to memorize. Otherwise, answer will become chaotic. So this is the structure which I fed in my mind, that whenever I read an article, I try to find these things. And I just write the keywords. So this page becomes my memory sheet. And how many times do you have to do it? As I told you, once or twice, that's it. For every theme, once or twice, done. And this becomes your intelligent notes. So if you don't have much time, I suggest that you follow this. If you have time or you have been preparing since 2 years, etc., example, or 3 years, if you had time, you would have done definitely something better. But this session I have called, reason being that I thought that I'll talk to people who are appearing next year or planning for next to next year. Because if you follow this method, it will look little awkward initially. That why to create templates, why not write literature? Because you don't have time. And why I'm even suggesting that you should do it, because if you do it with your hand, it stays in the mind forever. So anybody who tells you that you never need to write anything using your own handwriting, that's not correct. Then how will you reproduce this in the exam? So try it. Let me know if it works in the next workshop. And if it doesn't work, let me know. We'll find something else. But I believe it will work. You don't just need to do it once or twice. You are asking something. No, because definitions are never used before introduction. So it's simple. Introduction would mean that you are trying to tell the examiner what is the tone and overall context of the question. So definition is a very specific thing. So generally, whenever you write answers, you always try to introduce the question by saying that, okay, FDI is, example, FDI is important because we are a resource deprived country. It brings this, this, this. Then you define FDI. So whatever is the question becomes the body. I've already told, as I told you, that in your handout, if you check the paper, I have marked all the things, highlighted it, that what is important for mains, where you need to put the current affairs. Why don't I have a list of all the topics which is important for mains? Because if mains is too far, the list will change. If you ask me the same question about prelims in January or February, that what are the important topics for prelims, that I can tell you around February. But mains will do it 1 month before the mains. Why did I call this session? Because I wanted to deliver this to you, plus I wanted to tell you the importance of time. That how do you manage your time? 1 minute, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. It changes the results and fortunes. So try to do this. It will help you. And to my online students, if you feel that there is anything where you need help, or to my offline students, you let me know. And thank you so much for coming to the workshop, because seeing your passion, it also motivates us to bring the best out of us to help you to qualify the exam. So anything where you get stuck, you can write into us as well. So you can write to either Vajiram, or you can write here with any queries that you have, and we'll take care of it. Yeah, really nice to connect with all my students from the previous batches. Really good to see you guys. And it's really very nice to see you all. Some of you are here for the first time. Could spot you, could see you. And those whom are my students already, it's always a pleasure to meet you guys. And for your patience, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.